you're creative in finance, and I love being creative. That's what I do, right? Mm-hmm. What was your first ever creative finance deal?
It was actually an F-150.
Okay.
Okay, first off, that's God's truck. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody? Are you a
we
Ford
like
guy?
this. I grew up Fords. I'm a Dodge guy now, Ram guy, but
Dodge, they did a good job. The last like 5-10 years, Dodge has done a really good job. But Ford, so I didn't realize this was a thing, but the way I figured this out was I was trying to sell this F-150 I had, but I was belligerent on the price. I was like, Kelly Blue Book said it was worth 5. Mm-hmm. I wanted 10. So I go on Craigslist, put it for 10, doesn't sell. 3 months later, nobody's even called me to like even talk crap, you know? My wife comes in, she's like, hey, will you please get this truck out of our driveway? I'm like, yeah, but I'm not gonna sell it for anything less than 10 grand. It's like, why would you sell it for so much money? It's only worth 5. Somebody should probably just pay you $3,500 for it and be done with it. I go, because I can make more money with it in my company, like having it go out and do paint jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's asset, yeah.
And she's like, why don't you just let somebody make payments to you? I was like, genius.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I sold it for $12,500 on payments. This is the greatest thing ever.
But did the guy continue paying?
Yeah, he continued to pay. Yeah,
the whole time. Okay.
It was a Hispanic guy, little illegal worker dude. I'm in Arizona. You're in Texas, so you get a lot of that too. So we get a lot of illegals that come across, and they work harder than any white boy I ever met. And I was in the construction business, so I was like, look, I know what you do, and this is great. You're under the table, so you can't get a truck loan. This is great. He gave me $1,000 cash down, and I gave him $12,500 or $11,500 in payments. And I just asked him, how much can you pay? He goes, I can pay you $200 a month, and but I can start with $350 a month, and if I have some bad months, I'll make sure I pay you the minimum $200. That dude paid me $350 every single month until it was paid off. And it was a great deal. I ended up with interest, I ended up getting like 14 grand.
Nice.
For a $3,500 truck, right?
Yeah.
And that was my first deal, but I was in construction, so I didn't know that could be applied to real estate. And when I got into real estate 11 years ago, my title rep told me, you know, you could do like seller finance and sub 2 on these like leads that don't really work out for you. I'm like, what? Huh? What's a sub 2 what? And seller finance, huh? And I go, oh my gosh, I've done that on a truck. Oh my gosh. She's like, oh yeah, you can do it on trucks, businesses, this, that, and the other. And so my title rep taught me I could do the same thing. So I went back to my leads for the month. I had 20 leads that came in, closed 3 on cash. And I went back and I closed 4 on creative finance, 2 sub 2, 2 seller finance. My first sub 2 deal was a foreclosure. And the family was like, we want to stay in the house, but we don't know where we're going to go. We don't know what we're going to do. And that's why we've been basically burying our head in the sand. And we might just go move in with our parents. I go, okay, well, what if I pay for your moving expenses and I just take over your payments? And they were like, you would do that? I'm like, yeah. So it cost me $500 to get my first sub 2 deal.
Nice.
And it was my first 30 days in real estate.
Nice.
It was great. And I was like, why doesn't not everybody do this? And my title rep told me it's because most people don't want to learn that extra step. They want to do just enough in their life that they don't have to work that hard. And I took that as an invitation for me to go, I'm going to learn that like extra 1%. It turned out like it was my calling. I got so good at it that now we like have invented strategies that nobody was doing. Morby method is one of them. Gator strategy, a lot of those types of things.
What's Morby's method?
Morby method is where a seller wants a really large down payment.
Okay.
Let's say you're buying, I bought a ranch, and it's my Montana home, and that seller wanted a really large down payment. And I ended up not buying this deal, but I'll give you a good example. A seller's like, I really need a large down payment. I go, no problem. I can give you a large down payment, 50% down, but you have to carry the other 50%. Okay, well, that's not very creative. That's a lot of money down. So what I do is I go get a commercial loan, or not a commercial loan, but like a DSCR loan for only 50% of the value. And my lender brings the money to the table.
Okay.
And then the seller carries the other amount back. So I'm no money into the deal.
Gotcha.
So seller finances in second position. Most of those deals I'm setting up where the seller doesn't take any payments, no interest for like the first 5 years. And I'm just paying the DSCR loan. And then usually I'll refinance them out, or we'll sell the house at some point and get the seller paid off. So
yeah, I'm giving you $1 million on a $2 million deal. I'm not paying you for 5 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. You got it. So we do that with apartment complexes and stuff like that. Morby method's really common right now. So you're creative on the back end, but you're not very creative on the front end. You're actually getting a loan. So Morby method is the only strategy that uses credit. So then I created like Gator strategy and all these other things of lending and private money lending. And I looked at this big problem in the industry, like people going, I don't know how to find private money lenders. And I go, what if I could just create like 100,000 private money lenders, and I could then have a community of them that people could never say they don't have access to money.
Okay, so Gator lending is your thing.
That's my thing. Yeah.
Okay.
You've heard of it?
I've heard of it, yeah.
That's mine.
So explain that to me. Here's why I ask, is because I have the problem that you're saying everybody has a problem of.
Money?
How do you find money? Right? I'm like, I can make a lot of money, I just need to find the money, right?
Gator lending is like 10 different strategies all in one.
Okay.
Just like creative finance is like 10 different strategies all in one. The first one, I also figured out in construction. And this will resonate with you because you're in the trade, you've been in the trade, you understand blue collar work. So I was a contractor, and a lot of subcontractors come to me, and obviously they'd work for me. They do paint jobs for me, whatever. But I wasn't the only person they worked for. Right? They're a subcontractor. They work for 10 other contractors. So I had a guy named Ruben come to me, and he comes to me and goes, dude, I need you to cover my payroll this Friday. I go, what? You haven't even done a job for me in 2 months. What are you talking about? He goes, yeah, but this other contractor I've been working for the last couple of months, his check is on hold, and I can't pay my guys until next week. I go, great. How much do you need? He goes, $6,000. I go, how long is it going to be gone? Like, I'll give it to you on Friday, cover your payroll. He goes, I'll get it back to you on Tuesday. That's when the check clears. Okay. How much are you going to pay me back? He goes, $6,000. Yeah, duh. Like, you better pay me my $6,000 back. What's my return? He says, $6,000. I go, oh, okay.
Yep.
I don't think you're paying attention to me. I'm going to give you $6,000. How much are you going to give me back? He says, $6,000 on top of your $6,000. I'm like,
oh shit. Okay.
oh shit.
Yeah.
And so I started doing this for my subcontractors. I was like, anytime you guys have a cash flow issue, let me cover it for you.
Yep.
Right? And they could always work it off if they screwed me over or something like that. Like, I never lost money on that. But then I got into real estate, and I realized there's another opportunity for me where wholesalers don't have the money to cover their earnest money. And I'm like, okay, why don't I just cover the earnest money? So the first time I did this was a guy named Ryan LaRue about 8 years ago. I call him up and go, hey, you got any deals for me to look at? He goes, actually, I'm trying to buy this fourplex and I need like 15 grand. No, he goes, I need $5,000 to cover my EMD, or the seller's going to cancel the contract, but it's a banger deal. I'm like, why do you need my $5,000? Why don't you have $5,000? He goes, I got EMD tied up in like 5 other deals. I don't have any cash. Okay, I'll cover your $5,000. How much are you going to pay me? He says $15,000. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I'll pay you $5,000 plus 10. Oh my gosh, you'll pay me a $10,000 return? How long? He goes, well, I just need you to hold the money for like 7 days. I'm moving money from my 401k. So that was my first time. I was like, I cover your $5,000 EMD. It never leaves escrow. The money's sitting at title, and you give me 15 grand back in 10 days. I just freaking tripled my money.
Yeah.
I got a 300% return. This is insanity. 100%, I'm down for that. So then I was like, I go to the title company, I go, how often is this happening where people don't have the money to cover their EMD? They're like, it's like 80% of our files, people don't have money to cover their EMD. I'm like, okay, that's
what states are those that you have to have a certain EMD?
Every state.
Well, like Texas, I can write up a contract and have $10.
Yeah, that's EMD. But is the seller going to take you serious when you do $10 EMD?
Yeah.
Especially with an agent involved.
Yeah.
Agent's not going to let that fly.
Yeah, for sure.
An agent wants 1%. And then also, as an advantage, when you're talking to the seller and somebody else is talking to that same seller, you can go, I'll cover I do 5,000 EMD. So what I learned a long time ago, when you're doing wholesale, you're competing against other wholesalers, and what they don't want to do is they don't want to raise their price, because obviously that's their assignment fee. So what I would do is I would just raise my EMD. I would just tell the seller, hey, if the other person you're talking about is serious, they would put up 20 grand in EMD. I'll do that.
Yep.
And then that way, instead of me raising my price, I just raise my EMD. So that became kind of a common thing in the industry where people are like, oh, the Pace method of like, I'm going to raise my EMD, but not my purchase price, keep my profit, but make sure that I'm more credible. That kind of caught on like 8-9 years ago. That was the first thing I started doing that, and I just called title companies. I would go, every time you have a wholesaler that's not covering their EMD, call me.
Yeah.
And I became the bank. Next thing you knew, I was like, I'm out of money. I'm like funding some of these transactions. I'm running out of money. And what was cool about it too, it was a good method for me to also buy deals from these wholesalers. Because the reason why they didn't have EMD is because they didn't find a buyer yet. And so I'd be like, can I just buy that deal, or can I help you sell the deal? So I would cover the EMD, and then I would also then turn around and sell the deal for them, or I would buy the deal, and I would get paid on the EMD, and I would buy the deal. So I go, wait, this sucks. I'm out of money. I'm funding so many of these deals. And then I was like, I'll just go get a line of credit. I'll go get a corporate line of credit. And so I figured out a company that would do corporate lines of credit. And I go, man, I should teach people how to do this. This is freaking killing it. Since then, I started creating other strategies as well. Like Gator 2.0 is like double closes. And so what I do with the Gator community is I just give them, I have $300 million of a lender that will just do anybody's transactional funding. And so the Gators just make 1 point on everybody's double close. And so there's like full on Gators that are like making $70,000, $100,000 a month just helping people find funding, right?
Yeah.
Then I created Gator 3.0. And Gator 3.0 is private money. And so I found all the people who have directed IRAs and 401ks that are like, I don't know what to do with this money. And I basically help the Gators tap into all that money and then go to people like you and go, I have unlimited money. Yeah. You let me know what your project is.
Because multiple times we've talked or texted and I'm like, hey, so I got this deal that I'm working on. And you're like, do you need money? Like that's always your first question. I'm like, why is he always asking me if I need money? Yeah. Yes, everybody needs money, but like, yeah,
Yeah, I figured out like what part of the transaction can I make money on? I can make money on every part of the transaction now. And so I teach Gators on how to not just make money on the fix and flip money. Like if you go fix and flip, Gators have access to $300 million. They can fund your fix and flip, which is great. 10%, 1 point, really cheap money. They get paid on that. Then they also get paid when you refinance and you do the burst strategy. So I just was like, where are all the points where money's coming in and out of a transaction, and how do I provide funding opportunities to the people that are like, I don't want to own real estate, but I just want to go into other people's deals and make money on the financial part of it. And I just created Gator from that.
Cool.
I have 7 strategies. I just told you 3 of them.
Yeah. How do you get somebody into Gator?
It's an automated webinar on Saturday.
Okay.
So I do the webinar twice a year, but then it's automated. It's a replay. We spend $80,000 a month or $80,000 a week on it. Mm-hmm. And we bring in probably 200 new Gators every week.
I see everybody like that has any kind of money that's sitting around like, I'm a Gator lender. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, I didn't know it was your thing.
I'm changing the industry, bro.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You're a creatively. So it's crazy because I always say that I'm a very creative person. Yeah. So in high school, I was an artist, right? I was literally just downstairs looking at galleries because I'm like, I want to become a collector, like of art. In my 20s, I was very creative and employee-based. So I was employee, but I would go into companies and I'd be like, no, we need to change this. So change this process, make a lot more money for the company. And I was just like skyrocketing through the levels. Like by the time I was 29, I was the director of field ops for a company.
Nice.
And all my guys that were working for me as foremans were 49.
Love it.
And they were like, how are you 29? I've been looking for this job forever, and you got it, right?
Because you can see things other people can't see.
Exactly. So then in my 30s now, and I just stumbled into real estate because of land and my knowledge in it, and ended up closing the $3.7 million deal, no money out of pocket. At closing, they paid me $300,000.
So great.
Right? So now I'm just like, okay, was that just a one-off lucky thing, or can I replicate that now?
Of course, yeah.
Right? So that's where I'm like, we have the last 45-acre tract for sale. We're going to list it as soon as we get back. And if it doesn't sell, I'm like, okay, well, I just got to get creative on how to get it sold. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't sell by August, I'll just have to dump $300,000 into it, which I don't have, but I'll figure out somebody who does.
Right. What was the strategy? How did you get into these deals?
So I bought 222 acres. Ended up blocking it up through acquisitions, like a wholesale acquisition. I thought I was going to flip it to like a developer, but none of the developers wanted it at the time. Like they were just like, it's a good deal, Evan. It's just like we're not in the position to do it right now. Like the market's kind of churning right now. We're kind of scared. Like basically is what they told me. Yep. And I'm like, I picked it up for $15,000 an acre, and it's worth 25 divided. Like, there has to be some way to get this deal done. So I was paying the seller $1,500 a month to give me time to figure this out. Love it. And basically what I came up with is I was like, I just need to offer, like, watch your stuff. I just need to offer this guy seller financing, and then I got to figure out a way to come up with that money to the down payment, like you said. Yeah. So long story short, we got a great seller finance, 90% seller finance, 4-year balloon, no interest, no payments. And he's like, I just need $300,000 to cover my mortgage, and you can have the land. Like, you'll pay me, right? I believe in you. Yeah. So, got in the contract that I can list as soon as I sign that contract. Right. So we listed it the next day. The following day, a buyer came out and they bought 60 acres for $1.4 million. Went back to hit the seller, and I'm like, hey, I know you want $300,000. You have the first right to proceeds, but if I can give you $1 million on closing day, can I take the other like the first 400,000 from that deal. He's like, we just literally just negotiated this for like the last 30 days, and you want to renegotiate again?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just if I can give you $1 million on closing day.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, if you can give me $1 million on closing day in 60 days.
So good.
Yeah, so I was able to close, bring no money to the table.
$400,000.
Yep, and took 400 grand out of it.
Amazing.
And then as we've sold, he's gotten all the money. Like other than a little tiny fee for my services and keeping me alive, he's taking all the money after closing cost. So now this last 45-acre tract that I have, that's where all the money's sitting for me. He's damn near paid off. I owe him like a couple $100,000. It's a $1.5 million sale. This is where my money comes from. So if it doesn't sell, I think it will, but if it doesn't sell, I'll just make it the ranch that it needs to be. Do all the improvements, because I also have a second separate business that does the improvements, and then put 300,000 in. Then people will see the vision and then buy it, right? And worst case scenario, we just keep going down on price. I cut my profits,
Cover him.
but everybody else still makes
What a
money.
great deal.
So that's
Keep the ranch.
yeah. Well, I am keeping 27 acres in the house.
You are for yourself.
Yep. So originally
That's where you and the missus are going to move into.
Yeah, that's the plan, and put that big, nice piece of art on the wall that I was looking at downstairs.
Wow.
So
Good for you, man.
It was an old 1970s farmhouse on this 200-acre property. I didn't even know the land was coming with a house when I got the deal. Like I just thought it was land, and then like halfway through the deal, he's like, "Oh, by the way, there's a house on it," and I was like, "Yeah, this thing just needs a fridge and a washer, new water heater."
How far away is it from your house?
That's where I live now.
Oh, so you already moved in?
I literally moved in when I closed on it.
Wow, dude.
So I got a free house. I sold my other house.
What a great deal.
Yep.
Good for you, man.
So it's funny because I've been waiting to have a podcast with you, or sometime we can just talk and have a reel, because I'm like, the reason I got this done is because people like you on YouTube, you're like, I thought I invented this. Like, I knew I didn't invent this. You invented this. Like,
I invented some of it.
But you instead of me having to go figure it out, I just went to YouTube and found it. Right.
Great.
And that's how I've learned everything. I've learned
So great.
a ton from Jerry Norton, Ryan Pineda, you.
Good
you
old
know.
Jerry, bro. Have you met him yet?
Yeah, so I actually had an experience with him. I met him in last WealthCon here. And it was like everything in my life was coming together, making sense. I saw him. I'm like, I need you to just go shake Jerry's hand just to say, hey, man, thank you for putting YouTube videos out, because you changed my life. Even though you don't know me, you changed my life. And I walked up to shake his hand, and like, I don't know, something like I was holding in a lot of emotion or something that week or something with all this stuff going right. And I walked up and like, he's like, hey, Evan, how are you doing? And just because he remembered my name, like I burst into tears. I was like sobbing in front of him, and he's like, what's going on right now? He was so confused. And like, he's got this 6'5" cowboy sobbing in front of him. And I was just like, dude, I just thank you so much. Like, you changed my life.
Yeah.
But you did too. Like you, Jerry Norton, Ryan Pineda, like you guys were the people that I watched.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I feel blessed to be in a position that I could do any of that kind of stuff. And you're doing the same thing, turning around and passing the torch to other people and creating content that can be life-changing for people.
Yeah.
That's all that I ask people, is like, just turn around and keep the torch burning, bro.
Yep.
Keep it going, because there's a lot of times where people will take our information, they won't compound it, share it with other people. Jerry was my inspiration to get into YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, wow, if that idiot can do it, I can do it too. I was friends with Jerry 3 years before I created my YouTube channel, but I really started out as like just an admirer, still am, in a lot of thousand ways. He was my hero, and I'd already been doing 200 deals a year type of thing at the time, but I joined a mastermind, and he ended up being in that mastermind. And I paid a lot of money to be in that room, and he was also in that same room. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my chance, my opportunity to become friends with this guy. He didn't want to have anything to do with me. He keeps it very private. Like he doesn't socialize, doesn't go speak on a lot of events, maybe 2 or 3 a year, whereas I'll speak on 80 to 100 a year, right? I'm just trying to build something different than he's building. What ends up happening with Jerry is he posts in this Facebook group for just the mastermind, and he says, hey, I need help on this property I'm building in Arizona. I've got this concrete guy that's trying to screw me $250,000 to fix this problem on a retaining wall. I'm like, this is my opportunity. So I was already in construction. So I had the guys, and I go, hey, Jerry, and I reply, I didn't even have his cell phone number. I reply and I go, hey man, can I come out there and take a look at your retaining wall? And he goes, yeah. And I take out Leo, one of my guys, been with me for 10 years prior to that, and Leo owed me a lot of favors. So I said, Leo, I need to be friends with this guy. I need you to hook this guy up. So Leo fixed this $250,000 problem for $2,500.
Nice.
And he comes up with a creative solution to solve the problem, get it past inspections and all that kind of stuff. I tell Leo, bill me, I'll pay you the $2,500, but then send a fake invoice to Jerry and have the price on the invoice say, a friendship with Pace is the price of the job. And so Jerry calls me and I go, hello? And he was like, this is Jerry, man. I go, oh, great, I got Jerry's cell phone number now. He goes, dude, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you. You saved me all this money. I go, dude, I was just trying to get your attention and be your friend. Next thing you know, we start hanging out. 2 years later, he inspires me to get a YouTube channel up and going, which, it's just crazy how that turns around and compounds in so many other people's lives. And then I buy his house, sub-2 seller finance, one of the greatest deals I ever did in my life. Big old 11,000 square foot freaking mega mansion. 3 years later, I buy my ranch right next to his lake house in Colorado, or not Colorado, but Montana. But that all came from just him making YouTube videos. And it's cool that it changed your life too.
Yeah, well,
awesome.
And it's funny that you say that because you just said something that most people don't understand how to do, or if they do understand it, they can't get past their own financial issues, right? So you wanted a connection with him. You just gave him value.
Right.
You were like, all I know is I can hope to put that, hey, friends with Pace on the invoice, but it doesn't guarantee anything.
No.
Right? And I think that's where so many people fall short on networking is because they want to take right away and they want to guaranteed take.
Yeah. I tell everybody, if you want anything in life, there's 3 steps to doing it. Step number 1, find the person that has it. Number 2, find out what they want. And step number 3, get them what they want. If you can do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, magically, somehow, you get everything that you want in life.
Exactly. And I've always experienced that too. For like Ryan, I invested
Taking over the boardroom is
taking
a
over the
big
boardroom.
piece of value.
But also, like, every time I've ever had the chance to give Ryan anything, I've done. So, like, a couple WealthCons ago, I got upgraded to a penthouse suite just randomly, right? And I was like, this is sweet. And a mini fridge, everything, right? So we go up to Ryan's penthouse suite party he's having. He's like 150 people in there. It's like twice the size of this, which 150 people just not.
It's packed.
It's packed. It's hot, sweaty. Everybody's like drooling and sweating and like, and I was like, dude, this sucks. Like I went over to him. I'm like, Ryan, this sucks. And he's like, well, thanks, Bryce. Like, welcome to my party.
Yeah, welcome to my party. Thanks for telling me I suck.
Yeah, and I was like, no, like I have a penthouse suite as well. And he's like, you have a penthouse? And I was like, yeah, why don't we take half the party down to my penthouse and separate this?
Yeah.
And like, at least it'll be bearable, And he was like, yeah, just tell everybody. And I'm like, nobody's gonna listen to me, Ryan.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, we'll get everybody's attention. I literally turned around in this penthouse, it's packed. I'm like, it's loud, music's playing. I'm like, hey, everybody, shut the fuck up. And they were like, what? And they all turned to me, and I was like, Ryan's got something to say right now. So he's like, half the party go to Evan's room, follow him down.
Great, bro.
But I'm just like giving value. That night, I had a $1,400 mini fridge bill because everybody rated my mini fridge before I got there.
Oh,
because they were up in the other room, and they were sweating. They needed water. There was no drinks provided. Like,
dang,
they make
a lot of money on them shits, huh?
Yeah, but I was like, whatever, $1,400. I got the upgrade. It was worth it.
And he'll never forget that.
Yeah, exactly. So
He'll never forget that thing. And that's the thing. You're right. A lot of people don't realize that. They go, how do you have all these friends? It's not because I'm cool. I can tell you that. It's not because I'm super smart. All right. It's because I found the person who has what I want, which could be, let's say for Jerry, what I really have gotten from Jerry is just being in his proximity, his family values. His wife has changed my wife's life. He's become like my kids are friends with his kids. So just all the family camaraderie alone. Mm-hmm. Then also understanding YouTube at a higher level, being able to voice memo him for years. Mm-hmm. Years I've been able to voice memo him. What do you think about blah? Man, that has made me so much freaking money. I didn't know it was going to turn into that. I just knew. I was like, I want a friend that's doing things that I want to do. And he's already cut through the jungle with his machete. How do I go become friends with him? Find out what the freak he wants and give it to him. And people don't do that. They don't even take the time to find out what they want.
Or they stop giving too fast.
Right.
They do one little one little thing
Right.
for $25, and now they think that they should get somebody's time that's worth thousands of dollars.
Right. The busier the person is, the harder it is to get their attention.
Exactly.
Right. And that's the thing about you. Like Ryan will never forget you.
Yeah.
Never.
I had the Jamil on the podcast last night, and he was telling me a story and like all that stuff, and like I'm just like, how my whole attention, like even me talking to you right now, is like, how do I provide value to you? Like I know if I give you value, maybe you don't ever give me anything, but so and so will. Like right.
You
And
never know who has the map to your treasure.
exactly.
Yeah. And
But
like,
so-
or you never know who knows
Yeah.
who has the map to your treasure.
Exactly. Or just to introduce you to somebody. Yeah. So like last night Jamil's on the podcast, and I'm like, he's telling me his deep story about how he's been going through hardships over the last year.
Oh yeah.
And my heart is just breaking over here. Like we're on the couch, like I want to come over him and do what he did to you and give him a big bear hug, just not naked, right? And give him a big bear hug and just be like, bro, like let me like provide something for you. Like come out to the ranch, go shooting, have peace and quiet time. Like Ryan came out to my ranch, told nobody he was in town, never, and one little 30-second clip is all anybody knew that he was ever at my ranch, right? Like it wasn't a clout thing for me. I was just like, I want that guy to have value.
Right.
And so that's why I kind of offered Jamil, and I was like, just come over, let's find some hobbies, go golfing. Like you don't have to, if you don't want to hang out with me, that's fine. Like,
Dang man, I should be doing meetups at your ranch. How close
Dude,
are you?
come.
How close are you to a town?
so I'm 35 minutes north of downtown San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
We got Valverde right down the road, like literally 8-minute drive.
By the quarry.
No, I'm further north. Like no traffic, 35 minutes.
Okay.
You got traffic, it's an hour.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So what else are you working on?
I'm looking for things to buy after I sell the ranch, right? I'm gonna have $1 million I need to get rid of in a year, so I have to pay taxes, right? I'm looking at a $300,000 house in North Dakota on the lake that I can use personally. Maybe Airbnb it as well. So I was talking to Ivan, like, tell me everything you know about a Airbnb, because that might be something I want to do. But I'm thinking maybe more like a luxury, because there's nothing up there for Airbnb. So it's only, you have a 4-month window to Airbnb on the lake.
What's your main business?
Ranch land.
No. What's your like other business? You build stuff for people?
No, so I have 2 companies. I have my holding company for the land. All it does is buy land, sell land, never does anything else because it's lots of value there.
Right.
Don't want any other liability there. My other business that's not connected to that, just through me, is Texas Ranchettes. And that business is the post-development of the sale. So I don't work for anybody other than my clients that I sell land to. But I either give them some credit hours to kind of show them what I can do, or then they come back and buy products and services from me. Basically, I'm helping.
You're basically their contractor.
Yeah, but also I'm their guide to ranching. These are coming from the city, and they don't know anything about ranches. I grew up on a ranch, right? I have the knowledge.
Yeah.
For everything from how do we apply for agriculture exemption? Oh, let me send you the form. Well, how do we fill out this form? Well, what do you want to do? Well, we just want to raise some bees. Okay, well, that's great. You can raise bees, but you have 60 acres. They only do bee coverage for 20 acres. We can do bees, but we have to have a plan for the other 40 acres, right? So they're like, oh, shoot, okay. Well, what if we do some goats? Great, goats are great for this land, right? And then I'm just helping them with it, building fences, just clearing trees, replanting grasses, native grasses that are
So
good.
you're not building houses, you're just getting them set up on all the other stuff.
I'm getting them set up on the ranch.
That's sick.
Yeah.
What do you think are the most common misconceptions and mistakes that people make when they're getting into ranchettes?
In Texas, 10 acres. So everybody's like, well, I just need 10 acres.
Not enough.
Truly, yes, you can get 10 acres and have a ranch, but you can't build a house. If your primary job is not that ranch on 10 acres, it's not. You're not making all your income from that 10 acres and building any kind of house. Like, you need at least 11 acres because you need to subdivide off at least ½ acre to 1 acre to build that house on, pay your taxes, regular taxes, because that's not a primary use. The primary use is residence.
Yeah.
And your job isn't the ranch.
Right.
Right? So, but then you still need 10 acres. So all these guys in Texas are selling, they're coming in, well, I can just subdivide 10 acres out and not have to worry about the ranch or the rules because it's ag exempt. Like you get bypass all the rules, county development rules, because you're doing 10 acres or more.
I see.
So developers are doing this with 10 acres or more, but the end buyer is getting screwed because now they want to build a house on it.
And they can't.
Yeah, well,
Without
they
paying a ton of
do, but
taxes.
then they do build the house on it, and then
got
the
a
county
tax
comes
problem.
back and goes, hey, you need to pay me 5 years of back taxes.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And nobody's understand. They're like, I want 10 acres. I'm like, no, you don't want 10 acres. You either want 1 acre or you want 11. But there's nothing in between that you want.
Is a ranch considered 10 acres?
Yeah, 10 acres.
Okay, not
10 acres. Now, there's ways to get around it. Like, I can also help people that have gotten in that position, you know, that didn't buy through us, work around it and get auxiliary units and, you know, share.
So you're helping
share-
people also avoid taxes by keeping it agricultural.
Not avoid taxes, just providing reasons for the state to
Not
not
charging
tax
them in the
you.
first place.
For not tax you.
What are the main things? Agricultural,
Yeah.
like
Egg-
plant trees.
Egg, timber,
Egg means chickens.
agricultural, anything
Oh,
agricultural.
ag. Okay.
Agricultural.
Y'all
So,
in Texas say egg.
yeah,
We say ag.
yeah, ag. It's probably a North Dakota thing, actually.
Oh, really?
Because that's where a lot of my accent still comes from.
Okay, got it.
But, so it's Texas, don't hate on me. But, yeah, so agricultural is anything, cattle, sheep, goats, grazing leases. You can just do a grazing lease and let somebody else take care of it.
Yes. Okay.
Do bees, and bees, all you do have to do is go to a bee company and say, hey, we want to put bees on our property. And they're like, great, we'll give you a jar of honey and we'll do it for you. Right?
Really?
Because they need the land to raise the bees, and you need the agricultural.
I think you do that in Montana.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
Instead of having a bee keep,
Yeah,
I just have a company come and do it.
Yep. They'll come
I
out.
definitely want to do a graze lease.
Yep.
I wonder if there's a website for that.
Yeah, you could probably find it on a website. The best way is just to go to a local farmer that's around you and be like, hey, I want to do a grazing lease. Do you know anybody that's looking for a grazing lease? And he's either going to be like, yeah, me, or yeah, I have a neighbor that wants to do it.
Interesting. Okay.
That's the best way that's the best way. Boots on the ground. You have a network.
Well, not in
Just find-
Montana. I just moved to Montana, so not yet.
Okay. Where you at in Montana?
Where?
Yeah.
Whitefish,
Whitefish. Okay.
like Kalispell,
Yep.
Flathead Lake.
I have a really good friend on the other side in Browning. He's Native American. He does. He's the tribal prosecutor.
Oh wow.
So he doesn't have his bar for the state of Montana.
Is he the buffalo breeder?
No, I don't think so.
There's a guy in Browning that's like apparently some badass that's like involved in government, and he breeds albino buffalo.
Yeah, he's up north, over by St. Mary's area, Shelby area. But yeah, this guy's just a good friend of mine. He helped me actually start my business. He was having some troubles with the tribe. You know, he's a big talker. He didn't have the position to start talking. He had to get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
So he came down to work for me for about 6 months. We actually got the ranch together. He's making he'll make 25% of whatever my profit is on the ranch.
Wow. So $250,000.
Yeah, but he's not even there anymore.
So you're going to continue to find more land opportunities?
Yes. Yeah.
And where are you primarily finding these?
I want to find them in Texas because that's all the laws I know. Now every county is a little bit different, but that's just looking at development rules.
Are more and more people wanting more ranches that you're noticing? Is it like hot thing?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of Texas people.
Yeah.
So they're selling their house or their 5 acres to somebody coming from California that can pay all cash.
And then they move up and get 10, 15 acres.
Move 15 more minutes outside of town, 20 minutes outside of town.
And get some more quiet.
Yeah, quiet.
Why San Antonio for you?
You know Anthony Guyona.
Yeah.
So he was my first mentor.
Ah.
So he was actually I knew him from some other kind of business.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was solar. We were in doing some solar stuff, and I came in, got partnered up with him into like a networking. You know,
I freaking love that.
So I used to just go down and meet him.
And North Dakota, you're in South Dakota?
No, so I was living in Texas for 10 years.
Okay.
Before.
But you were born in North Dakota.
Yeah, I was born. I actually came down to Texas, to Amarillo, Texas, in 2013 to be a tour manager for a rock band.
You're lying.
I'm not lying. Their name was Sleep for Dreaming. You can still find them on SoundCloud. It's about the only place you can find their music anymore.
And you're their manager.
I was their tour manager.
And where were they touring?
We were doing national tours throughout the United States.
Were you traveling with them or just booking?
Yep, traveling through with them, taking care of everything,
Wow.
collecting the cash.
Wow.
Had a lot of. I actually have one cool funny experience. But we're in Seattle, and we have contracts on all these shows. So we have, different people are setting up the shows. We have a contract for $500 payment to us. We get to this place, nobody shows up. Like there's 3 people in the whole venue. It was like a Tuesday.
Wow.
Right? But it's their job to market, not ours.
Right.
Like we're just coming through playing your show. So I go to the manager. I'm like, hey man, you want to go collect? He's like, collect what? And I'm like, well, my $500. And he's like, no, I don't see anybody in here. And I was like, well, that's your job, not ours. We're just playing music. And he's like, oh, you're kind of a smart ass, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to collect my $500. And he's like, why don't you come upstairs? We'll figure this out. So I follow him upstairs to his office. He sits down like in a desk like this, and he sits down, or like a higher desk. And I'm on the other side. I sit down, and he pulls open his drawer and puts like a bread on top of the table.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I looked at it. I was like, okay, where's my 500? And he's like, I don't think you understand what the fuck's happening here. And I was like, I don't think you understand that I'm from the hills of North Dakota. That shit don't scare me.
Yeah.
I was like, you better fucking either point in my face and make me leave, or give me my $500 fucking dollars. He's like, that's the first time that ever happened. He reached down his drawer, pulled out $500 and gave it to me.
Wow.
But how many times he went up there and did that same shit, and they were like, oh, hey man, I ain't got no problems, I'll leave. You know, he was probably pocketing all that.
Good thing you're from North Dakota, bro. You ain't putting up with any of that crap.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Bullshit.
Or could you make good money being a band manager?
No, it was all. So I was actually working oil field before that, up in North Dakota. My crew got into a wreck. I happened to get out of the pickup an hour before. There were like 200 broken bones between 4 people. And I was like, this is not worth it.
No.
Like they all lived, but I was like, this is not worth it.
What city in North Dakota?
So I grew up in Hazen, right around Hazen, North Dakota.
That's up north by the Canadian border?
No, this is like center of the state.
Okay.
So
Fargo's all the way to the right.
yeah, you got Bismarck in between the state capital. We were like an hour northwest of Bismarck.
Okay.
So
Small little town.
yeah, 2,500 people, but a big town for North Dakota. That is a town everybody knows in North Dakota
Really?
because it's got 2,500 people
Wow.
and a gas station.
Would you ever go back?
I don't know, go back permanently? Probably not. My goal is to buy up all the land around my parents' farm. And why? Well, because walking away from the farm, Dad always told us that if you walk away from the farm, you won't get anything from the farm. You got to work the farm to get the farm. But if you walk away from the farm, you don't get not a love-hate thing. Like I love my dad. It's just farms can't sustain generations when everybody splits up and takes everything. Right. So my older brother will farm, but my goal is just to buy up all the land around him.
I love it.
And then just rent it back to my brother.
I love it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Who's the rancher now, baby? That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I honestly think this will happen, maybe not. Like, I wish my brother the most success forever, but I feel like he's going to get to the point where he's like 75 and I'm 60, 68 or whatever it is. And he's going to be like, I'm done farming and I'm going to sell and my kids don't want to do it or whatever. Like, maybe it doesn't happen. But if it does, well, guess who's going to buy the land?
You.
Me.
Yeah.
And I walked away from it.
What do I farm?
Corn, wheat, soybeans.
You can't make money from that?
No, you can make great money on that, but it's
hard.
It's hard. You're working it. It's a blue collar job.
Yeah.
You're putting in,
14-hour days.
80 hours a week.
Yeah.
So that you can make 100,000+ a year.
Wow.
Right. So
and then if you have a bad crop or you have a drought,
well, a lot of that
it could wipe you out for the year, right?
Not wipe you out. You have to have like 7-8 years in a row to wipe you out.
Okay.
Everything's insured. So you get insurance. It's all regulated.
If you had to go and start a ranch right now and actually work the land, what would you choose right now in Texas?
I wouldn't work farmland. I would just raise cattle.
Okay.
Yeah, get some. So North Dakota, you can't just raise cattle because
cold.
You need to feed them.
Oh, okay.
Right, but in like southern Texas, you can because you got grass year round.
Got it.
So I would stay south of the frost line. You bale some hay just for backup and stuff for droughts and stuff, but raise cattle, goats, whatever.
Wow, that's freaking cool. And then you would butcher them, or you'd sell them off to.
So I'm actually doing 27. I have 27 acres, 27.91 acres in the house that I'm keeping. Currently doing a goat operation and I don't have goats yet, but I'm building up for a goat operation. It's not like crazy,
Tell
but
me about it.
I'm gonna have 8 does, and which are the females, and 2 males, the 2 bucks.
Dude, those $2 are gonna get a lot of
Yeah. Well,
8 ladies worth of goat sex.
yeah. So we'll be having babies, and I'm gonna do Nigerian dwarf goats.
Those are the ones that fall asleep?
I don't know a whole lot about goats. I'm more of a cow guy, but I know they're about this big, and when they have babies, the babies are about this big.
I love it.
So I just think it's like a kind of rare thing. I could do some content on it, also maybe make some goat cheese. Like I'm not that guy to do it, but like maybe somebody would want to
Do you
do
build
it.
a barn out there?
Yeah, I have a barn out there.
Okay, so could you make money doing that?
No, well, through content, yeah.
Okay, not through anything else.
I'm building a $35,000 fence Pace, and the goats cost $100. So even if I sell goats for the next 100 years, I'll never even pay for my $35,000 fence. But I will only pay $20 in taxes and property taxes on that
deal.
land, and the land's appreciating.
Okay, but what if you put cattle on that same piece of land? Could you make money?
There's not enough
Space.
not enough space. It's a very rocky area, so the dirt is not black dirt. So it's rocks, dirt, pine or trees, cedar trees. I could maybe raise 2 head on it,
Oh, that's
and I'd still have to feed them, and that's not an operation. You can't keep your taxes for that. And that's like going back to Texas ranchettes. This is what people don't know. They're like, oh, I'm gonna buy 10 acres and raise 30 head of cattle. Like, no, you're not. They're gonna die on you because they literally don't have enough food. You buy 10 acres, you don't have enough land in that area for 1 cow. You have to have 100,000 acres to raise 10,000 cows
Holy crap.
or whatever. That's how much acreage a cow. Well, you can't pay property taxes on 100,000 acres.
It'd kill you.
It'd kill you. So that's how operations, and they're all generational farms. Like you can't even go buy that anymore, or because it'll kill you. You never make money back. Like your fences alone, you'll never make money. So it's all generational. So I mean, there's ways to get into farming if you want to, but you got to be a hard ass worker, and that's all you're doing.
Can you get the agricultural exemption if somebody else is doing it on your property, not you?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably what I need to be doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I need to have
Raising
I need
leases.
to have you come up to the Montana ranch, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Teach me all the stuff.
Definitely.
One day I'll have 1,000.
Can I be honest with you? You don't have a ranch.
I know it's a ranchette.
Yeah, it's a ranchette.
That's why I asked you. I was like,
you keep saying a ranch though. It's a ranchette.
well, I asked you like how big do I have to be a ranch? You said 10.
Well, you do, yeah,
I've
for
been told
for Texas laws.
Okay, for Texas laws. Okay, I tell everybody, they go, do you have a ranch? I go, no, I have a ranchette, but I think that sounds a little femmy.
Yeah.
So I just tell people, I got a farm.
Yeah.
I got a little farm.
Well, so anybody in town will tell you it's a ranch
Yeah.
because anything over 5 acres is a ranch to them. That's some land.
Yeah.
But anybody with any kind of experience in ranching,
It's like, that ain't
if
nothing.
you can't make a stable income on it,
It's not a ranch.
it's not a ranch.
A ranch is a working property that's making money, correct?
And technically, a ranch is just pasture land and
Okay.
working livestock. That's a ranch. A farm is raising crops and wheat or corn.
And how big do I have to be a farm?
It's all based on your income.
Okay, cool. Then I'm going to call it a farm.
Yeah.
I'm going to grow wheat on it.
Yep.
Microgreens.
Yep. Let me ask you a hard question. I know we're kind of going longer than 30 minutes. You're good friends with Jamil.
Yeah, really good.
How did you not see that happening? Not that you're a bad friend, but like,
I think
why
that,
did you step in and try to help him, or did you?
okay, so I had a partner years ago that got separated from his girlfriend, and nobody liked this girl. And I was like, good, man, you got rid of that bitch. Guess what happened? 2 weeks later, they're back together. So the relationship's never been the same. And so I just kind of had this rule where I was like, I'm not getting involved in people's marriages. But here's the thing, to be fair with Jamil. Did Jamil could he have solved that problem?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
That's why I didn't step in.
Yeah.
It's not my business. 1, that's why I didn't step in. 2, I watched how she did not want to show up to any of his stuff even when him and I were barely becoming friends 8 years ago. She didn't want to be involved in any of his stuff. That was 8 years ago before him and I didn't really start collaborating until 6 years ago.
Okay.
So for 2 years, I go to his house, we go to dinner, we get acquainted, and I'm like, just kind of saw the way she showed up. She ordered food, she didn't make the food. You're a blue-collar boy. I'm a blue-collar boy.
Yeah, you make your food.
You make your food if your friends are coming over and you're doing a dinner, like you're hosting dinner.
Yep.
They just order food. She's not cooking around here. Okay, cool. What does she do? Jamil's a high earner. Okay. Did she give him kids? No. Did she take care of the house? No. They have a house cleaner.
Yeah.
She did the dishes. Well, sometimes when the house cleaner wasn't there. Did she do his laundry? No. Did she do the landscaping? No. Okay. Well, what is she doing? She involved in his business anyway? No.
She was living.
She was living.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and I go, I don't know how long that's going to last. Not because she's a bad person, but because I think it's going to wear on her.
Gotcha.
Not wear on Jamil.
Yeah.
And I think what it was is Jamil was like perfectly happy with where she was. I think her self-esteem got to her like, I'm not bringing anything to this relationship. She's beautiful. She's kind. She's so sweet. But we both know that a woman typically brings a lot more value to the table than just being beautiful and sweet.
Yeah.
Right? They're the CEO of the home. They're bringing the female nature to the whole entire environment.
Yep.
They're going to raise your kids. They're going to be a part of your they're going to show up when you have a mastermind or you have an event or you have this. They're going to be by your side. They're going to say, how do I participate?
Yep.
And she was the opposite of that. She tried to stay away from it. Even when we'd have parties at his house, she would go and hide in her room. So I looked at that and I said, Jamil's going to have a really hard time with this. And it's not my space to figure that out. And he would hang out with me all day long, and my wife adores me, you know, and I adore her. So we're physically all over each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know, holding hands, grabbing her ass,
Yep.
even grabbing her boobie every once in a while. And, you know, we're just feral cats basically trying to get after each other. And when I see other couples that are not willing to touch in front of each other, it's like, okay, so y'all are telling me you guys only hold hands and get naked when the door's closed? All right, I don't know how long that, I just, maybe those are different relationships I'm not hanging out with, but if you and your girl were hanging out with me and my girl and you weren't holding hands with her, wouldn't that tell you something?
Yeah, for sure.
So I looked at it and I felt like Jamil brought so much to the table that I think she was like, I don't even know what I can do. And so instead of attempting to help, I think she just shrunk even more. She was very much into video games.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
This is the part that we're not that's not being told.
Well, I'm into video games. Like maybe we played video games together. I never
You
knew,
probably
but-
have. She's incredibly good.
Yeah.
And so that was like her outlet. So she was, every time I went over to the house, middle of the day, Tuesday, Saturday, Sundays, does not matter. She's playing video games.
Yeah.
So a woman that doesn't give you kids, not taking care of the house,
Yep.
not producing income, and she's primarily playing video games.
She's not even answering the door when you come home.
She's not answering the door when you come home. How long is that going to last? That has nothing to do with Jamil being home or not.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with that. So
Yeah.
I think Jamil is giving her a lot of grace, and I think he should. I think it's his relationship. He understands it better than I do. I'm just giving you my perception from the outside.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I go, that's not for me to fix. And it has nothing to do with Jamil performing and then being on the road. He will say, oh, I wasn't there. Okay. That's a bullshit line. I'll tell you why. I go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I go on this little history tour. I go to the post office. Post office built in the 1800s, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe 1700s. Long time ago. The guy who built the post office left his family in England, wife, 4 kids, traveled across the country until he found an opportunity, then built the post office, then got some income coming in, then sent off for his wife and kids to then come and follow him. How long does he not see his kids? 7 years. Mm-hmm. Guess what his wife did when he died? She said that was the greatest man that ever lived on the planet. She adored him even in his absence. Mm-hmm. So you being there or not being there
Doesn't matter.
does not matter. If you have improper expectations or the improper woman and she's not aligned with you, that woman's like, my husband's out there making the world change.
Mm-hmm. It's going to a new place that's never been traveled to before.
Right. So here's another question for a lot of men out there. How can you catch the deer if you're stuck in the cave? The cave, your job is to leave the cave, kill the deer, bring the deer back, eat the deer with your wife. She's cooking it. She's doing all the stuff. She's taking care of it, whatever that is. And this could be a lot of things. Your job is go make the money, go network, go do podcasts, go connect with people, go and get in masterminds. You can't be around your wife and your girl every single day. So your absence does not have anything to do with that. Your absence should be her going, wow, I'm so grateful he's going out and finding that deer. Would a hungry woman complain that her husband's out getting more deer?
No.
No. So that whole thing of like my husband, I wasn't around. That's such bullshit. I think Jamil's just being really polite to her,
Yep.
and I think that's what I would probably be doing if I was in a situation. But forget about Jamil. I think you and I are both in alignment. If your wife is like, you should be home or else we're going to get divorced, you'd be like, honey, I got to build a legacy here. I got to be on the ranch over here. I got to do this. I got to drive here. I got to do a consulting thing.
Yeah, I actually have the opposite problem.
Yeah.
So Monica, she's like, I don't want to get in your way.
Yeah.
Which is good, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I want you here.
Yeah.
Like I want you to be here.
Right.
You know, I have no relational experience like myself, but I've learned throughout the years from other people. Okay, that's a nugget I'll have to use one day, and that's a nugget I'll probably have to use one day.
Yeah, think about that. Your wife wants you to go out and do life-changing shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think every woman does. I'm at Eric Worre's house earlier today. His assistant, Keaton, drives me to the hotel because I couldn't get an Uber. Beautiful young girl, highly talented, super like whip smart. She's really, really smart. And we get into a conversation. I'm like, so you've been doing this for a while? You know, you start the conversation. Then okay. She goes, yeah, but I don't want to do this long. I want to get married and have kids. I go, what's keeping you from that? Like, you're a cute girl, young, smart, you got a good job, you got income coming in. She goes, men nowadays are just lazy and non-motivated, and I want to be with a man that can outperform me. Mm-hmm. And I said, do you think that man this life-changing, world-altering man, do you think he needs to be home all day? She goes, no. I want to support him. I want to push him out the door. I want to go get him to go do stuff. I want to be a part of that and that, thing. That's what your girl's like. I said, what's the problem? She says, every man I find doesn't care about family values and this, that, and the other, and da-da-da-da. They all want to just have hookup culture, and, the world's changed from when you and I grew up. So I look at the environment of men, women nowadays, and I think the family culture, what's happening is that people are leaving the cities that believe in family values still. They're leaving the cities, they're going and buying ranchettes from you. And they're saying, I can't be around these crazies that all they want to do is just have sex and, live this normie lifestyle.
Yep.
Let's leave. And I see more and more, Montana is the second fastest growing state in the country right now.
Yeah, first is Texas.
Yep. People are trying to leave the city life and go back to the values that we have the old days. And the values were always husband and wife on the same mission. Yep. Husband's out in the field, hanging out with other warriors that are all searching for the deer, and the wives are back at the home making sure that the house is an actual home. And that's changed a lot. And I think that, I think Jamil deserves that. If I could go back and tie that back into Jamil, I think Jamil deserves to come home, whatever that first step into my house. When I come home like tonight, I'll fly home. Mm-hmm. What's the first thing I see when I get home? My wife and my kids standing at the doorway for me. Mm. My wife knows when I land. She knows when I'm in my Uber. She then times it perfectly to show me. I've never asked her to do that.
That's cool.
She did that on her own accord, and it's been going on 50, 60 times a year. I travel once a week usually. And my wife also is grateful to go, at least my husband's not going to build a post office for 7 years straight, and I have to go 7 years without seeing him. And he's figured out how to change the world and still be home 5-6 days a week. Mm. And when he is home, he's home 4 hours a day longer than a 9-to-5 person is home. So for me, like, if you really want those family values, it has nothing to do with you traveling or not. Yep. Has nothing to do with you. And the other thing is, Jamil's home more than I am. Mm-hmm. So I think when Jamil says I wasn't there, I think he was there. I just think that they weren't talking. And I don't think they were having the hard conversations of maybe we're not a good fit, or what do you want in life? How do I help you get it? I don't know. I mean, I've been best friends with them for 8 years, and I look at their relationship, and I always looked at their relationship as like, it's amazing, it's amazing. I just was like, there's something off here. The offness could have been, they just have a different lifestyle than me. Yeah. And I just go, cool, that must be a Canadian thing.
Which could have been.
It could have been, but as I've gotten older, I look at that relationship and I go, I think that there was just some misalignment well before I stepped in the picture,
Yeah, it's kind of like people that date for 5 years and never have the talk about that. It's the same thing with him. Maybe it's just the marriage thing where
I don't think they had the conversations.
They should have had the conversation the first year, been like, oh, that's not going to work.
They went to a therapist after they got separated, not 10 years ago, not 8 years ago, 6 years ago when these issues were happening. Yep. And the therapist could have been like, you guys actually want to be married? Yeah. Why do your therapist goes, my wife and I haven't gotten to one, but I've been in other relationships that have. The relationship's like, the therapist goes, Why do you want to be married to each other? Convince me why we should even be in this session. And if the husband and the wife pause and go, because we have sex twice a week?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can do that with anybody. Why specifically this person? And if you can't answer that question with, certainty of 15 different things,
Yep.
then the therapist should be asking you, maybe we should be having a conversation of misalignment. Where do you want to go? Let's figure this out. But the problem is therapists don't get paid unless you keep coming back.
Yeah.
So they're not going to solve your problems until you stop belly aching and either, anyway. So I think that Jamil's going through a reinvention of himself. And I think that the divorce will be the greatest thing that ever happened to him. And I think he's going to find a woman that's just like, I want to take care of you. I want to be there for you. I want to be your support mechanism. I want to, open the door. When you walk in, I'm going to be butt naked every time you get home from a trip.
Yeah.
Every man's dream. And he's going to go, thank God this happened to me. He's right now, he's in that moment where we all have been when we lost something. We lost money, we lost a friend, we lost a family member, we lost a business. Somebody screwed us, and you're in that moment of this negativity, and you're living in that for a little bit. He's in that moment. And in 6 months, he's going to meet a girl that's going to rock his world. A girl that speaks Canadian.
Speaks Canadian.
Whatever language they speak over there.
Oh, yeah, sure, you betcha.
Exactly. And speaks Canadian and also speaks his language of I want to be married to an entrepreneur. I think Jamil also wants to have children. He had a child when he was much younger, and he didn't get to live with that child in his house.
We talked a little bit about that, yeah.
No offense to teenagers, but the best part of a kid's life is 0 to 13. After that point, they don't care about mom and dad for a while. They go and care about their friends. Everything's about their friends for until they're 22, and then they start going, Mom and Dad, I need help.
Yeah.
Then they want to come back into your life, right? But he missed that whole 0 to 13 age. He's never seen his own wife breastfeed a child. Bro, that's the most magical shit you've ever seen in your life. Watching your child survive off your wife is one of the most magical things on the planet. And more importantly, sleeping in the same bed as that happening, you're like, we had sex in the most loving way. We created a child. That child is now breastfeeding in my bed next to my wife, and I just get to watch my wife love on this child. And you get to watch that in person. There's scents that you smell. There's aromas you smell that you're like, I smell my own baby. I smell my wife. She smells like milk. Bro, it's like the most barbaric but beautiful thing I've ever experienced.
That is the best, I think, reason anybody's ever told me to why you should have kids.
Yeah. The house smells different. The sounds are different. You'll never be more loved in your life, ever. You'll never be more loved in your life by employees, friends, family, your mom. Your mom doesn't love you as much as your kids love you. And when you feel and experience that love, you're like, this is what I was missing. This is what I was born for. It's impossible to explain, right? And imagine something like food that you love, and you tell somebody, you got to try this. You got to try this. You got to try this. You say it 1,000 times. And they finally go, all right, fine, I'll bite it. And you go, see? And you go, yeah, damn, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Imagine that literally times 1,000,000.
Yeah.
That feeling of, wow, this is unbelievable times 1,000,000. That's how it feels to have a kid.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and I go, Jamil didn't have that. His kid grew up outside of his home in Canada while he was in Arizona. So what happens there is that you miss all these beautiful moments. And so Jamil watched me and his other friends going through those beautiful moments where your kids are in the house. The sounds are different. There's smudges on the glass. The fridge is always disheveled. There's something broken in the house all the time. And you go, this is why I was put on the planet. The only reason I was put on the planet is to create this environment.
Yeah.
And I want to absorb it as much as I possibly can. And so when Jamil doesn't get that experience, but he wants it, I think that the greatest thing that he did was get divorced so that it's not too late for him to go and experience that if he decides to do so.
I was just listening to him, and I seen you guys on stage, and I've seen you guys' relationship together, and you guys are great friends. My heart was breaking when I was hearing it, and we had a deeper conversation up here. I'm just like, man,
I think he's too close to the problem is obviously it, but I've got a different perception. And you ever have a friend that's dating a girl, you're just like, wow, she's totally wrong for you?
Yeah. Okay.
I never really felt that way 100% about Jamil, but I also never felt like Jamil was getting his cup was filled.
Yeah.
And I've had other buddies, I've had buddies that complain about the lack of sex in their marriage, lack of communication in their marriage, and I go, oh, Let's go. You're getting divorced. No, 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 we're not getting divorced. Yeah, you are. You're getting divorced. You got to go fix that right now. If you guys aren't trying to bone each other 3 times a week at least, and sometimes you'll go 10 days where you're traveling, you're busy, she's on her period, whatever. But then there's 7 days in a row you just cannot get enough. You know, it's welcome to life. If the intimacy is not there, there's trouble in China. If you guys aren't communicating and fighting all the time, there's a problem. Okay, there's these things that are very, very obvious, and this is a different friend of mine. And he would complain to me. He's like, bro, I get home. I have to like, she's always this, that, and the other. She's complaining about how often I want sex. I go, bro, what are you, like a sex addict? Are you trying to bang her 5 times a day? What's going on? No, dude, I'm just trying to have sex like twice a week. I'm like,
Twice a week?
Twice a week? You're trying to, like 3 times a week is kind of the average for a married couple.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, oh, I would die. I go, dude, you should be happy 2 times a week. He goes, no, I didn't say I'm getting 2 times a week. I'm telling you, I'm trying for 2 times a week. I'm like, how often are you guys having sex? Maybe twice a month. Wow. Bro, this relationship's over.
Yeah.
She's not physically attracted to you. Maybe her libido does not match your libido. Go get the hormones checked. Because there's ways to fix this nowadays. He goes, no, she doesn't want to do that. I'm like, okay. She doesn't understand you as a man, is what you just told me. The only thing that God wired men to want is to procreate.
Yeah.
Why? Because it drives us to do everything else.
Yep.
So when a woman doesn't understand your natural predisposition and why God made you the way you are, you've got bigger problems. This is not a good alignment for you. My wife is like every night, whether I want it or not, she'll ask me this question. So she says, do you want me? So that the kid, in front of the kids, do you want me? Do you want me? Do you want me? My wife will encourage me to ask her. I never have to ask my wife for sex.
Yeah.
Now, are other relationships exactly the same? No. I remember other times where I had to ask for sex, beg for sex.
Yeah.
Pout for sex. Why am I not getting sex? This is bullshit. But I can tell you, why the fudge are you together if you can't get fudged? What are you there for? Yeah. I'd rather just go get a roommate. Much less expensive.
Yep.
So people go, oh, he's a pig. All he's talking about sex. Yeah, you're right. Maybe I'm okay being a pig.
You're a cat. You're a frisky cat.
Yeah, I'm a freaking feral cat, bro. Yeah. So anyway, my point to that is there are people that just are not in good relationships. And sometimes they just can't be fixed. Yeah. And I think a lot of people that go through divorce have a hard time admitting that they were just wrong. They chose the wrong person. They blame the other person. Oh, they didn't fix this. They didn't change that. No, you just married the wrong person. You just married. It should be somewhat effortless. You guys have compatibility.
Yep.
You love each other. You're equal passion about each other. You're equally physically attracted to each other. If you're a guy that doesn't want to have sex more than twice a month, then go find a woman that doesn't want to have sex twice a month.
Yeah. Or go check your testosterone.
Or go check your testosterone. Anyway, so you get my point. And that buddy that kept telling me there's no problem. Took him 2 years. He was divorced. And then all of a sudden, his name's Jeff. All of a sudden, Jeff's on every dating app, having sex with 4 girls in a day, going crazy, hog wild. And I'm like, bro, he's like, I was so wrong, man. Like this 18-year marriage was draining me. Anyway, he got scammed by a bunch of like catfish girls and all sorts of stuff after the fact because he was on every dating app. He went the polar opposite direction, but in that moment, it's like, no, it's fine. This is how things are. No, it's not, bro. Yep. A good relationship is communication between 2 parties, and it's alignment of efforts and alignment of mission. And if you don't have alignment of mission, it doesn't. If you have alignment of mission, does it matter if the husband's gone 2 days a week? No. What about airline pilots? Think about an airline pilot. How many days a week are they gone?
Every 5 days a week?
3 to 4 days a week minimum. Okay, so all of their marriages fall apart, huh?
But a large majority of them do. But
I don't think so.
No, you don't think so?
No. I think the expectation is I'm marrying an airline pilot. This is the norm.
Oh.
This is what it happens in this
I wonder if like the real statistic on that though.
Oh, it's got to be phenomenal. I bet you anything it's really high.
Really?
We did a divorce study actually not too long ago where we were like, I wonder like race that gets divorced the most, religion get divorced the most, state that gets divorced the most, like college and high. You know what's funny is the more intelligent the couple is, the higher likelihood they get divorced.
Yeah, I can see that.
So interesting.
Wait, for religion, is it Catholics that get the most divorced?
I can't remember. There's an amazing, like you can pull it up as a big old infographic. It's so good. But I could bet you that the percentage of airline pilots that are getting divorced is actually very, very low. Why? Stability in the household, income that's coming in, expectations are that this guy's going to be gone 3 to 4 days a week, and I'm going to go create a life that I have hobbies and my own stuff and my this, and I'm going to take care of the house while he's gone, and I'm going to appreciate the heck out of him. And then when he's home 3 days a week, we get to go travel wherever the heck we want, or we get to go do this, we get to do that. So I think improper expectations and people just getting into relationships they shouldn't have gotten into is probably the majority of problems. But people have a hard time admitting that. Yeah, chose the wrong person. But I had a good time for 10 years. Cool, great. I got married too. I know I was divorced too. I know exactly how it was to be with somebody you like, you truly love, but the alignment of interests were different. My previous wife didn't want to have kids. My wife now is like, I'll give you all the kids you want, just tell me.
Yeah.
Okay. My communication wasn't different. I wasn't different. How often I was home wasn't different. How much money I made wasn't different. It was the person I married was different.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a good question. We just talked about that for an hour. So
yeah. No, I appreciate it. I was just really interested in what your thought was, because I want relationship. Like my desire, ultimately, like I want to make a bunch of money. I want to have a successful company, but also like desire good friends.
Right.
And I seen Jamil and I was like, I just want to be that guy's friend. Like I want nothing from him. I just want to be his friend.
One of the best men on the planet. And so, internally when I see, he would also say stuff to me like, I want to have kids. I don't think my wife would give me kids. I go, okay. Anything else that you're not getting that you want from your wife? Let me ask a question. I go, is there anything in your wife's life that she wants, desires, needs, craves, whatever, that you don't give her? You're like, no, I give her everything. Like, okay. I'm not saying that's justification for her to just give you a baby, but y'all have been married and together for 15 plus years and you haven't had children together and you've been desiring it the whole time. Maybe that's a sign that you got some misalignment.
Talk a lot.
Yeah, y'all ain't. Does she speak Spanish and you speak French? I don't understand what's going on here. So anyway, one of the best men you'll ever have as a friend is definitely Jamil. And I think that he's on a stratospheric rise over the next 5 years in terms of relationship, mindset, health, marriage. And I think that I think at some point he will be on stage talking about exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
How he overcame it, what his real situation was, and that I think you agree with this.
Yeah.
How often you're gone should not dictate whether your relationship,
100%.
If I'm home more than, do you know the other statistic about men from the 70s versus today? Husbands, fathers spend 700% more time today with their family and their wife than they were able to in 1970.
Able to.
Able to.
Yeah.
And for some reason, men nowadays go, how do I find balance in my life? Yep. Bitch, you are already winning. You spend 700% more time than your dad, your grandfather ever physically had the capability to do so. You live on easy street.
What do you think what's the thing about all these women now being like, oh, I'm a bad bitch, I don't need a man?
Oh, that's a whole thing. I don't know.
Cultural. I don't know what it is, because
I think it's.
I was so happy when I finally, because all the women and I would try dating were like that, right?
Yeah.
And when I met Monica, she was like
a traditional woman.
I'm like,
I think what's happening is there's a phase, and I think it's coming back. Yeah. You're seeing a lot of trad women, is what they're called, trad women, traditional women.
Okay.
That are now popping up all over Instagram and TikTok, and like, I'm proud to be this, and I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Like, this is the greatest life I could ever had, type of thing. And I don't need a man. I want a man.
Yeah.
And actually, no, they say, I do need a man, and here's the 25 reasons why. But here's the 25 reasons why he needs me. Mm-hmm. And so that's making a resurgence right now.
Yeah.
And I think this whole liberal world that these people have really popped off in the last 10 years of like, I think that's going to die off. I think the people of traditional values are realizing, here's what's happening. Women in their early 20s, early 30s have this aggressive nature of like, I don't need a man. Then they get a little bit older and they go, something inside of me biologically is telling me I need to have babies and have a kid and have a husband. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with, oh my gosh, what was I doing the last 15 years? I just wasted 15 years.
Yeah.
So I think most of those bad bitches, bro, you'll never meet a more sorrowful, sad human being than somebody who's 60 years old, was a bad bitch.
Yeah.
And doesn't have children and a legacy. I mean, you grew up on a farm?
Oh, I believe it 100%. Like, it is a cancer.
Oh, it's a cancer, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a temporary cancer. I think as the world evolves and people start realizing that that's a waste, like, think about all these bad bitches.
Yeah.
Just wait 20 years, bro.
Yeah.
Just wait till you bad bitches, you're going to turn into bad witches. You're going to look like disgusting, Halloween creatures,
Yep.
and no man's gonna want you. No woman's gonna want you. If you're like, I don't need no man, I'm gonna get myself dude. They ain't gonna want you either.
Yeah, nobody's buying your OnlyFans in 20 years.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a lack of maturity.
Okay.
They haven't gotten mature yet. They haven't got, the older you get, the more mature you become. And the older you get, the more you realize your parents knew shit that you thought they didn't know.
Yep.
Oh, damn, my parents were right about this.
Yeah, 100%.
Holy crap, what was I missing the whole time? I think that they're just in that phase of like, mom and dad don't know what they're talking about. They're so wrong and they're rebelling.
Problem is they don't have mom and dad either.
That's a big part of it.
They're split up and they got their own freaking problems. They don't have enough time to worry about what
They're
their kids
ignorant.
are
The older you get, you also realize you don't know shit.
doing. Yep.
Right? And so I think that they're ignorant to the point where they got to realize maybe you don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the older I get, the more I realize I don't know shit. So I think they're just immature. And they'll get to 32, 35, their biological clock starts ticking. They go, oh my gosh, I have now been basically, all these OnlyFans dudes been throwing all themselves at me. And all of a sudden my income just dropped to like by 90%.
Yeah.
Think about where this would be.
It was just the problem that social media got started and everybody wanted to see young women at the same time.
Yeah.
Because that's men, right?
Yeah.
And then we've just been following this growth, and that's what everybody's been talking about. Everybody's a bad bitch. But really what's happening is we're just all watching social media.
That is true. And
We're watching the trajectory of somebody's life right now.
Think about AI too. You know about these men now that have full-on relationships with AI. They know it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I prefer it, man. It's low maintenance, it's cheap. Think about what does that do to women?
Yeah.
They're not willing to do the hard work. They're not willing to build the buildings and pour the concrete and do the plumbing and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Men are fine. Women, however, everything's based on their physical nature, even with each other. Mm-hmm. They judge each other on their physical nature more than we judge them on their physical nature. So even their own kind will cannibalize them in 10, 15, 20 years.
Yep. It's like the woke nature. They cannibalize themselves.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yep.
So it's just, this is why honestly, this is why I bought a house in Montana. I'm like, I need to get away from all these people. I don't want to be around them. I want to be around nothing but traditional people. Got beehives. They got freaking wild turkeys in their yards. That's where
it's a maze.
Yeah. And you're doing the same thing. You're like, I want to get out of town and I want to live my life in a very peaceful way. So for us, it's Montana. For you, it's North Dakota and Texas.
Well, Pace, I appreciate you.
Of course, bro.
You get on the podcast.
Of course, man. Of course, guys.
Stay connected.
Go buy yourself a farm, okay? But if you have less than 40 acres, you don't have a ranch. You have a ranchette.
Yeah, 100%. In most areas, there's places you can still have.
It's a ranchette.